Good evening, good evening. This is another episode of Caregivers and Hygiene. This is actually like part two, carrying over from the last video about caregivers and hygiene. This is Marie's message. I'm a big deal. I'm very, very, very important. For real. Okay, today we're gonna talk about hand washing as far as hygiene and caregivers. Hand washing is very, very, very important. Now, the CDC, which is the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Let's hear what the CDC has to say about hand washing. Hand washing techniques.
Here is information from CDC.
Okay, what does this say here? Let's see what the CDC says about hand washing. Washing hands can keep you healthy and prevent the spread of respiratory and diarrheal infections from one person to the next. Germs can spread from other people or surfaces when you touch your eyes, nose, and mouth with unwashed hands. Preparing or eating food and drinks with unwashed hands, touching contaminated surfaces or objects, blowing your nose, coughing or sneezing into hands, and then touching other people's hands or common objects. Okay, this is what the CDC says about hand washing. Now, as a caregiver, I must tell you that I have seen some things over the years. Ladies, please wash your hands when you go to the bathroom. I have gone in the bathroom and other employees have come into the bathroom unbeknown, did not know that I was in the bathroom, but I know that they used the bathroom. And they left the bathroom without washing their hands and went right back to work. And I have to work with these coworkers after I've been in the bathroom and just realized that you used the bathroom and didn't wash your hands. So guess what? As a caregiver, you now take those contaminated hands, you go back out onto the floor, you're touching the patient's files, you're touching doorknobs, you're touching desks, you're touching the patient's bed and bed rails, you're handling the patient's food and did not wash your hands. You have to treat your hands as caregivers. You have to treat your hands like how you would disinfect or sanitize a surface or an object. You have to treat your hands the same way, as if they're contaminated and have microorganisms on them. Washing your hands is called universal precautions. It's one of the, if not the most important thing as a healthcare person. A caregiver is supposed to wash your hands. That's why a lot of disease and infections gets transmitted from one person to the next. You might have not washed your hands when you came out of that bathroom, and you did not touch another person. But the surface that you touch with that hand, someone else is coming along and touching that same surface. That chair that you pulled out for that patient, The patient is now going to touch that same chair that you touched with your contaminated hands. We have to be mindful to be caregivers that think about the safety. That's the number one thing. Safety is number one. And to be safe, you should wash your hands. Wash your hands after you use the bathroom. Do not go into the bathroom as a coworker and use the bathroom and then come out of the bathroom. You have your cell phone in your hand. You just contaminated your cell phone. And you go over to the nurse's station and you grab the pen that's on the desk. And you're filling out something in the care plan for the patient, and you just contaminated all of the patient's files, contaminated the pen that was on the desk, contaminated the desk because you just touched it. This is not just for caregivers in facilities. You have to wash your hands even when you're working in someone's home. Hand washing is number one as caregivers. Sanitizing and disinfecting and trying to keep the infections and diseases to a minimum is our responsibility as caregivers. We're talking about hygiene today. Part two, hygiene for caregivers. This is Marie's message. Yes, I'm bringing it to you straight. I'm coming to you bold. I'm not cutting no corners. I'm about to tell you like it is, because I've seen it too many times. I don't know who this video for, but it's too many of us caregivers out there who are just, to me, that's irresponsible as a caregiver. It's like you're purposely putting others in harm's way. That was number one for this part two, is wash your hands. Hand washing, very important. Number two, ladies, please keep the makeup to a minimum. You do not need to put on makeup as if you're going to the nightclub for the night. You don't need a whole lot of lipstick. Put on a little lip gloss to keep your lips from being chapped and dry. The lashes that I'm wearing, those are average, medium, normal size for a caregiver if you're going to wear artificial lashes. But you shouldn't be coming to work with lashes so long that you look like you're a bird that's about to fly away. Every time you blink, all the patient can see is your lashes flapping up and down. You're not going to the club, you're going to work. You're going to take care of people who are sick and elderly, who have disabilities. Keep the makeup to a minimum. Jewelry, ladies, gentlemen, caregivers, keep the jewelry to a minimum. See my earrings? See how small they are? Little stubs. One earring, you might have two holes in each side. You put one here and one here. You don't need earrings that are hanging down from each side of your ear to match your uniform. No matter how pretty these earrings are, it's not appropriate for work. Why? Because it's a safety hazard. Why is jewelry not appropriate at the job for caregivers? It's a safety hazard and it carries a lot of infection It carries bacteria, microorganisms. So keep the jewelry to a minimum. Safety. You don't want the patient to grab your earring. Because if that happens, you have some patients that are aggressive. And if they grab a hold of that earring, they're going to rip it off of your body. And the patient is not at fault. Why? Because the nurse is going to say, the supervisor is going to say, why are you wearing dangling hoop long earrings to work? Same with the necklace. You don't need to wear any necklace to work. I know it's your favorite necklace, and you know it's got the little pendant with your baby girl picture in it, or your mom that passed away. But you cannot wear necklaces and jewelry to work as a caregiver. It picks up microorganisms. And it's not safe for you because the patient can grab it and pull on it. Caregivers, be mindful of hygiene. One watch with a second hand. That's all you need as far as jewelry. Men, women, caregivers, males, females, you only need one watch with a second hand so you can do your vitals if you need to. Your wedding band or your engagement ring. That's the only ring that should be on your fingers as a caregiver. Ladies, you don't need to put a ring on every single finger to go to work. You're not going to the club. When I wash my hands, I have to take my ring off and wash my hands because water gets up under the jewelry, underneath the ring and in between the ring. And once that water gets up under it, it becomes dark, moist. And that's where bacteria can build up. You think your jewelry is clean, but it's not. Even if you wash it, it still has microorganisms on it. So they do allow us to wear our wedding band and our engagement ring. But please keep the jewelry and all the rings on each finger. That's a no-no. We're talking about hygiene. Caregivers being conscious of your hygiene. You cannot go out into the world and say that you're a professional and that you are in the health field, but yet you don't take the health precautions that's needed to protect you and to protect everyone else that you come in contact with. Ladies, the uniform that you wear to work, the scrubs that you wear, you must wash them, do laundry. You could be around your children. You have on your scrubs and you're around your children and your family and you're hugging everyone and you all are close with each other. You don't know if one of your family members have some kind of flu or cold or anything. And yet they're hugging you and touching you all over. And then you leave and you go to work and you transport whatever was on you from your family or whoever you was with. You just transported that to the people that you work with. You just transported that to the patient that you're taking care of. Be conscious of microorganisms, germs, disease, pathogens. In your mind, you should always be thinking about sanitizing, disinfecting, sterilizing. These are words that caregivers are supposed to know by now and supposed to practice those things on a regular, everyday basis as a caregiver. Sanitation. Caregivers, we have to do better. You can't say, oh, I'm a professional. Caregivers be out here bragging how they're professional and they've been doing this for years. But yet no one have ever stopped you and told you that that was too much makeup that you had on. Nobody ever stopped you and told you that your eyelashes was too long. Nobody ever stopped you and told you that your uniform pants was too tight. It's not about you. It's about the patient. It's about the co-workers that you work with. We must do better as caregivers with our hygiene because we are the example. Everybody is looking at you, critiquing you, whether it's constructive criticism or not. As a caregiver, you are under a microscope as far as the society is concerned, as long as you are out in public in a uniform, in a scrub. You could have just gotten off your shift and finished doing whatever you wanted to do at work, and now you're going to the grocery store, you know, took your hair down, and people are still judging you. When you go in the bathroom and use the bathroom as a coworker, and then I'm in there and I'm realizing that this woman just used the bathroom, did not wash her hands and walk out. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go straight to the nurse and make a complaint. I'm not going to confront you as a coworker. I'm going to go to the nurse and make a complaint because you just walked out of the bathroom. And now you're about to contaminate everything and everybody that you come in contact with because you did not wash your hands. And I'm definitely going to try to stay clear of you for the rest of the shift. So caregivers, this is Marie's message to you. Please be mindful of your hygiene and how you carry yourself, how you present yourself before these patients that need your help. Have some self-esteem. Take pride in how you look, how you smell, how you feel. Educate yourself on hygiene and how to properly care for yourself and how to properly do hand washing techniques when you are caring for someone's loved one. You could be in a room taking care of a patient and your loved one could be there watching everything you're doing. And that loved one could be an RN nurse at some other facility that you know nothing about. And she's watching you care for her loved one. And you did not wash your hands after you performed a certain procedure. And you went right back to taking care of their loved one without washing your hands. They're going to go straight to your charge nurse and report you. You could lose your job because people are watching everything we do as caregivers. So my advice to you as a caregiver, we need to step up our game when it comes to hygiene and hand washing. Yes, this is part 2, and it gets real. Oh yeah, I'm giving it to you real. Not cutting no corners, baby. Until next time, this is Marie's message. Caregivers, you need to take care of your hygiene. Until next time, see ya.